Harris, and you are back here again with the SciCommunity Nexus Channel's Fresh Press Science.
Yay! Hi, I'm Gabi Serrato Marks, and I am a PhD student up here at MIT. So we are far away, but we're still hanging out here on Fresh Press Science. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So I'm down in Chapel Hill, and so Gabi and I have never actually met in person, but we've probably in the last couple months racked up plenty of hours of communication, right?
Yeah, probably like, I don't even want to estimate. We've done lots of video calls. We're probably in the dozens of video calls at least.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys probably don't know, y'all probably don't know that. So hi, this is my dog. You probably know that. But Gabi and I talk outside of these little meetings as well to talk about the Fresh Press Science project we're doing, to talk about our own science. Oh my gosh, this dog wants to like make
so
out with
love.
me. No, he's so happy that I'm home in the middle of the day. Yeah. So, hey guys, cut it up. So everyone who's watching, thanks for tuning in to the live portion. We're going to try to do this every week where we come on and there's a live part so you can join in the discussion. Sometimes we'll have an author who's going to be talking about their specific science. You can ask them cool questions then. And if you're able to join in live, the best part, I think, is that you're going to get to see our unedited blooper reel. So even what I just said there, I'm going to say it again. If you're tuning in live, you're going to get to see our unedited blooper reel every single time. I have to do it 100 times. No.
Blooper reel.
Blooper. So last time we cut out some stuff about a whole bunch of different topics, and we do that for time, but also for content. So if you're here live, you will not have the horrible FOMO of missing out on us doing
secret content. Yeah, right. We should call it secret content. This is secret content. But overall, what we're going to try to do from now on is edit the videos after we do a live stream. So it will be actually a live conversation between us and usually with an author of a paper also. But then after that is over, we are going to do some editing, clean it up a little bit so that it's a lot shorter and you don't have to sit and watch an hour-long chat with bloopers if you don't want to. So that's the plan going forward for new episodes. And you can see that already with episode 4 with Ollie that's up called It's a Trap. So that one then edited beautifully. And now you can watch it in only 29 minutes instead of the epically long conversation we had.
Oh, it was so long. It was 1 hour and 6 minutes. So we cut out quite a bit. And so remember, as we're going, y'all can ask questions down in the comments. You can tweet at us, Fresh Press Sci. And as always, you can send messages to either Gabi or I. We'll go ahead and give you our handles and things like that so you can know who we are. But what I am learning is that the thing we're supposed to do right now is to ask you very kindly if you like this channel, if you like the SciCommunity, if you like these videos, you know, if you like Gabi or I, we would love if you would go ahead now and just like this video before you forget. And as you're going along, add in a comment. That'll help us with viewership and getting people excited about it. Gabi, you just disappeared. There you are. You were next to
you froze.
Oh no. If it saves your Wi-Fi, I can have my chat up on my computer over here.
Okay, let me try that.
Okay. So as per usual, we have, ooh, Circe loves the shirts. Thank you.
How do you say her name? Circe? How do you say your name? Please send us that in the chat. This is the secret content you don't see.
Like Cersei Lannister?
Yeah, right. That's what I think.
I know. Which, let's take a second to realize how awesome that actress is. And we don't have to get into Cersei Lannister.
Fantastic.
But, so good. Cersei. Ooh, lovely. This is
okay.
So,
so we have to.
She says no, not Game of Thrones.
Oh no!
I'm sorry.
Okay.
My roommate is named Sheldon, and see, this is going to be the secret stuff that nobody is going to see after this. My roommate is named Sheldon, and she does not like Big Bang Theory, and it comes up every single time she says her name. So
It's a cool name, though.
It is. It is a gorgeous name, Cersei. Great. So, yeah. So go ahead, like our video, comment, and also
subscribe.
Oh my gosh, yes, please subscribe. So, what's my dog called? I don't like Gabi. Okay, cool. Hey, cool. So my dogs, I have 2 dogs behind me. The one over there who's balled up is named Hermes, and the one who's here licking her foot is Athena, and they are litter mates, they're brother and sister. So, yeah, but y'all keep asking questions. That is awesome. Subscribe, etc. Share us, whatever. This is great. We really appreciate you tuning in to chat science with us. But we told you this week is going to be a little bit different. This week, we are going to be talking about our science, and we're going to be talking about the show in general. And hopefully, y'all's questions can help us answer some things that new viewers would come on and want to ask. So feel free to ask us any questions that you would want to know. That way we can use this as an introductory video for the future. Cool.
Yeah, I think we should definitely have your dog's names in the intro video. So I'm glad someone asked that already. Our pets tend to be an integral part of every Fresh Press Science show, which we usually do at home. Right now I'm at work, but usually we do them at home with pets. So that's a great part of FPS.
Hashtag FPF. SPF? No.
FPS.
Yes. Okay, cool. So I think first.
Who are we and why do we do FPS?
Cool.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. And question Mark is awesome, by the way. He's like supporting the heck out of my page and all of like the pH depression stuff. It's just awesome. There's so many people who are our friends online who are the most amazing people. So Mark brought up this great thing of like not staying away to like the video while I'm watching. That might be true. So this is probably, if you're watching live, we love you, and come back when we put the video back up. We'll put links in our own Instagram, because that was something too that it won't tally watch marks for this. So we're still getting used to it. If anyone out there has advice for YouTube videos, promoting content, pretty much anything. I don't need advice on microbiology from a general audience, and that's about it. For every other topic, please send all of the advice. So, Gabi, should we start with what you talk about? Oh no, Gabi's a symbol again. Okay, so I will just do what I do best and talk ad hoc about everything. So for those who don't know me, there you are. You were a symbol. That's cool. So I'm just going to do my intro real quick. So my name is Susanna Harris. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Susanna L. Harris. And I am starting my 5th year of my PhD in microbiology down at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And I study how bacteria stick together in communities on plant roots. The reason we're studying this is that we are all probably pretty familiar that there are a lot of chemicals and things used to promote plant growth and to protect plants from pests, things like that. So anything that's protecting them from fungus or a bacterium or even like a small insect, those chemicals are essential at this point in agriculture to be able to feed the world. If we lost those now, we couldn't feed everyone. But we know that sometimes those chemicals can be very dangerous to the environment. And so what some scientists are wanting to do is to create sort of a probiotic. So the same reason that you would eat yogurt to benefit your gastrointestinal health, plants don't have stomachs, they have roots. That's where they take up their nutrients. And so we're interested in looking at the bacteria and things that stick to the roots and help the plant to grow and resist different diseases and things like that. So my job is all about looking at different bacteria that live on the plant root and looking at how these bacteria are communicating with each other and figuring out if that affects the entire community that's living there, the plant health, soil health, that sort of stuff.
That's so cool. I've never heard your full explanation of it. Like I've seen it written, but I've never heard it from you. And I feel like it's a different thing. So it's really cool to hear what you actually study and like the plant probiotics. That's so freaking cool. I had no idea.
Cool. Oh my goodness. Okay. Question mark said that they can like the video on a browser.
Okay, on a computer. Okay.
So, oh, that's so sweet of you to transfer. That means he went from an app to the computer, so that's dedication.
Just to like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so Jenny from Washington, who joined us originally on the crow video.
Crows, yeah.
Yeah. She just said biofilm, which I totally agree. So that's what I study, is how bacteria stick together and form a sticky biofilm. The same way you can think of, like, humans live in big groups, but they also form infrastructure. It's not like you go to a city and everyone's just like standing around and sleeps where they're laying. We build buildings and things, and so the entire city, when you say city, it includes the building, the people, all of the different resources that the people use. It's the same thing as saying biofilm. So a biofilm means the bacteria living within this big matrix, and that matrix is called biofilm as well. It's a little bit confusing, but that sticky adhesive biofilm is what holds the bacteria all together and allows them to have these really complex behaviors.
I don't think biofilm is something you can agree with, by the way. I heard you say, she said biofilm, and I agree. So I love that, but I don't think you can agree with biofilm. I just had to call you out on that.
You know what? I do, though.
you agree.
I am in favor of a naturally occurring process. Also, fire is a yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So do you want to do your science intro?
Yeah, hopefully my Wi-Fi lasts long enough that I can stay live. But I am a grad student here at MIT, and I study past climate change using cave rocks. So I go to caves that are all over the place. My main project is in Northeast Mexico, and we use cave monitoring, like testing what the waters look like in terms of the composition, not visibly, but testing what the waters have in them and how they form stalagmites, and then actually sampling stalagmites sometimes. And we look at whether in the past it was wet or dry, how often there were droughts versus wet periods, and what drives those processes. So we want to know about that because we're still figuring out in a lot of places how climate change will impact weather patterns and how the wet or dry cycles will change. And to understand those things, we really need the background of how it changed in the past. So I'm really interested in the climate of the past 2,000 years, especially because I'm interested in human-climate interactions. So I'm working right now on some stalagmites from Northeast Mexico in San Luis Potosí and Tamaulipas, which are kind of north central. And one area is really dry and one area is a lot wetter. So I'm really excited to see what we get. So far I have no results, just some dates of how old the stalagmites are, but we'll see what's coming up next. So that's my science. I never said I'm a geologist. I'm a geologist.
Yeah, rocks. I feel like, though, that is data already. You're like, we only know how old they are. I think I would just look at a stalagmite and be like, it's pretty old.
Yeah, that's true. There's no way to tell how old they are without doing chemical dating on them. So
cool. So for Cersei says, are you doing oxygen isotopes?
Yes, I am. My girl Cersei, she's a paleoclimate lady like me.
Hey, there's more than one of you? This is a new field to me. When you said you were
Okay, that's so rude. You're the only plant root lady I know, so whatever.
Exactly.
That's
got
true.
all in our like little silos. Yeah, and Rebecca, RC Stat, who we've also had on the show, talked about, keep saying like she talked about antibiotic resistance, which she did, which was amazing, but mostly she was talking about like statistics and it's just gonna look like I'm cracking up for no reason because they couldn't see what you just did.
Okay, start over. Sorry, everyone.
No, you're good. So Rebecca studies statistics and epidemiology and how to have best practices for disseminating that sort of work.
Don't give old people too many antibiotics.
Yes, that's her thesis title.
That's my summary.
Amazing. Perfect. So yes, but Rebecca says Do you do field work often?
Okay. I do it sometimes. I'm not very good at it. I often fall and get a little bit hurt. I can show you some of my scars. I think you could see my hand scar. This was like a deep cut. I probably should have gotten stitches for. But anyway, yes, I do field work pretty much once a year. And I kind of like caves medium. Like, I'm not someone who loves going caving all the time. And I also don't hate it. I sort of tolerate it. And I'm learning to like it as I get more used to it. But yeah.
That's so cool. Cersei says, research geologist equals Jill of many trades and mistress of none, which I love.
I love that. That's true.
Okay. So that actually, I feel like transitions kind of well, because I feel like we should introduce also kind of who we are on a more personal level and talk about some of our kind of projects. So I'd love to start with you because you pronounced the names in Mexico, I think, very accurately. And do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, I'm fluent in Spanish. I was totally bilingual, like native speaker of both until I was 5. And then we stopped speaking Spanish in my house. So I lost my Spanish until I was in like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And I started learning it again. And now I'm back to fluent. So I say I'm not a native Spanish speaker because I had to sort of relearn it. But yeah, my mom is Mexican and my dad is American. So I used to say I'm half Mexican, but now I say I'm Mexican American with a hyphen because I believe that you're not half anything. You just have a lot of different identities and it all comes into one person. So that's my thing. And that's why I speak Spanish.
That is awesome. I speak very questionable Spanish, but I'm going to ask the silly question. So
if you're from Mexico, why are you white?
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask it that way. I was
asking Mean Girls style.
Yeah. maybe I'll ask it a different way and we might edit that part out.
Sure, go ahead. Yep.
So you're not exactly what someone might think of, at least might initially think of when they think Mexican American. And like when I first saw you, I certainly would not have thought that at all. What has it been like, having that? Do you, because you have the option of passing in a system that really favors being just white.
Yeah, so I have all of the white privilege that comes with having the skin and hair color that I have, and even down to hair texture. I can look completely white and choose not to tell anyone anything else. And then similarly, I'm also part of the queer community, and that's something that I can choose to tell people or not. And then I also have an invisible physical disability. So there's a lot of things about me that I like that are important to me that I kind of hold close to myself, and they're part of my identity, but you can't necessarily see them. So that's something that I think about a lot with science and science communication and representation, because I do want to try to be representation for people with disabilities in science and show that it is possible to still carve out a place that you can be successful and things along those lines. Because when I was first starting out in grad school, I felt like there was nobody like me. And now that I have a lot more community on Instagram and Twitter, and I call them all my internet friends, like you, Susanna, I feel a lot less alone. And so I kind of want to be able to do that for other people and make connections with people who have similar experiences. But when you blend, it's hard to do that. So I have to kind of seek other people out and be like, hi, let's talk, let's hang out, instead of people always being able to tell that from me.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask, we can always take it out later, but why did your family stop speaking Spanish?
That's a good one. My dad doesn't speak Spanish, and my brother was born when I was 4, and my dad got really frustrated that we could all speak Spanish and he couldn't. And so to kind of maintain family harmony, we switched to English only. But there were still some words as a kid that I didn't know the English word for. So like I still forget. The thing you use when you're cooking, pinzas, tongs. I still forget every time. Forget the word for tongs. Pincas, and I didn't know the word for boogers until I was like probably like 8, because we always called them mocos. So there's some interesting like bilingual stuff, even though we stopped. But I want to hear all about your like PH depression and your cool side stuff too. So tell us about that. Tell us your side stuff.
I will be a bummer in a second.
No bummer. You're doing cool stuff.
We're getting the most amazing comments though.
Yeah, I'm so upset my Wi-Fi can't handle it.
I know. Colic says, yes, representation matters, which, and like lots of capitals, totally. Rebecca says, hello, fellow white Latina. Do you find that speaking Spanish was a big part of forming your Mexican-American identity?
That I think has a lot of, that gets debated a lot, especially in the US Latino community. So if you are born in the US and maybe you don't speak Spanish because your parents wanted you to have exclusively an American accent and they didn't want you to have an accent like you speak Spanish because they had trouble with that. Things along those lines. Like there's tons of reasons why people don't speak Spanish. But for me, it is an important part of it because it's always been important to my family that I pronounce Spanish words correctly, appropriately, to not have a really thick American accent or English accent when I'm speaking Spanish. So that was part of it for me. And also just that I can communicate with my family who are still in Mexico without as much trouble. So it's easy to speak in their native language. They also speak a lot of English, but we try to go back and forth, and that way we can have a deeper connection, I think. So for me, it was a big part of forming my Mexican-American identity and figuring out who I am, even if I blend, as it were.
That's so lovely. That makes me so happy. All right, Johnny or Giovanni or Gio says, oh my God, Susanna, you can't just ask someone why they're white.
I'm glad he understood our reference.
Yep. All right, Lewis says good night. It's pretty late. Have a good night. And so Rebecca asked, and going back to your question, Susanna, what are your big pie in the sky long-term goals for PH depression? So I will do the quick intro of what PH depression is in case anybody here is not familiar. So I myself manage clinical depression. It's something that I have a family history of, as a lot of people do in academia. And I didn't realize how normal it really was until this big study came out in Nature Biotech back in March that found of about 2,000 online respondents, approximately 40% would be identified as clinically depressed or having a general anxiety disorder. The way they found this was that they actually had the participants respond to the same questions as you would in a doctor's office. And so that 40% number, I heard, it made me feel kind of better because if you haven't seen it already, there's a video of me talking about my history of mental health. It can be a bit triggering. And so if people are upset, I would urge you not to watch it. I don't think, if it would be upsetting, there's no need. But I talk about my history of mental health and the feelings of isolation associated with it. And when I saw this 40% statistic, I really thought, that seems about right. But then also, if I looked around a room of 200 people, there's no way I would think that 80 of them might be suffering from the same sort of problems. And that's really where PH depression was born. The next step is that I shared a little bit about my story. I got other people to share. Started back in March of this year, March 2018. So we're coming right up on our 5-month Luniversary, and we're getting close to 4,500 followers on Instagram. That's where it started. We're on Twitter now. I had a really cool moment this morning where I woke up to one of my science idols, Nicholas Stanley Wall. She had retweeted something about it, and I was like melting. So
that's amazing.
Thank you. It really felt good. My biggest fear today was that I would go into campus and like nobody would want to talk to me, because sometimes there's definitely still a huge stigma around mental illness, even though there's so many of us, and that's really where I want PH depression to be, is to just kind of talk about mental illness, talk about everything. It's called PH depression, but it is from anxiety to depression to borderline personality disorder, alcoholism, other substance abuse, PTSD, ADHD. There's so many different things that so many people feel ashamed of. And I think in reality, everyone has something that they are struggling against. And as an exceptionally privileged person, I'm a cisgendered white woman, and I am also in the queer community, but I'm bisexual, and of all the people in the queer community, I think a bisexual woman is the most accepted, because men are still allowed to enjoy that, and so it's acceptable. I'm not sure about that part, but I think that I have a lot of privilege. I'm in a very secure place. University of North Carolina is amazing and incredibly supportive, and it was still very hard to deal with these things. So if I can help other people talk about it, that's absolutely what I want to do. As far as like pie in the sky, what I really want, this is, if anyone knows anyone who can make this happen, you would be my hero for the next year. My pie in the sky idea would be to create a crowdsourced Wikipedia-esque page, basically a big grid that's searchable by university. And any university that does research and has graduate students, that you could search for that. And we basically have like 10 metrics that it would be graded on, and we give them a grade. If they have all these different pieces and have links to their website. So it might be, do they have a free counseling service? Do they have an operated website? Do they take all these different kinds of medical insurance? Things like that. And one that would be a great resource for our members to be able to, if I'm struggling, I'm at the University of North Carolina, I can type that into this like big page, pull it up and see what they have. But really what could be cool with this is that maybe we could start putting pressure on institutions, because these kinds of changes, the support needs to start coming from the top down. I think there's a really cool grass movements thing happening right now, but I think the institutions, the grant fulfillment places, NIH, NSF, they need to be the ones telling institutions as well that you can't work your people into the ground, and actually supporting mental health is going to make people more productive.
That's amazing. No, that's so good. No, because it's true that that's something that doesn't exist anywhere. Like rate my professors for mental health care, it just doesn't exist. Definitely not for university systems, and even like for regular doctors outside of the university, it's so hard to find out who's good and who is going to be difficult to work with and going to support you. So I think that sounds like an amazing idea. Ooh, and I also love that the PH depression. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Cersei is awesome. And what about some activity like Jess Wade? I recently learned about her. I don't know how I didn't know who she was for so long. For Wiki for Mental Health and
I love her.
Academia, members can come together to participate or fill out. So I think that would be something like that would be amazing. I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I think we'd need a bioinformaticist. We'd need someone to host, and we need people who know how to run this stuff. But with this big of a community, and by the way, the people in this community are the best humans around, because they are in academia, so they're super motivated, and they have some kind of emotional understanding of themselves. They've had to face a couple demons, and they're so willing to help others. They've been really amazing. So it's been a lovely social experiment. It's taking off faster than I would have ever imagined.
I think it's been really cool how inclusive you've been of all kinds of mental health struggles, and it's been a place where I can both feel community and learn from people who are struggling with something really different from what I go through. And so I found that to be like, it's a huge benefit of just following the PH Depression Instagram page, is that I get a lot out of it from just one place. So I think what you're doing is really cool.
Oh, thanks. Cool. So perfect. Rebecca is getting us back on track.
She's so good.
What Fresh Press Science is. So she goes, on a lighter note, how did you both find each other and decide to collaborate? And earlier she asked the question of like why fresh press science? What have we been doing here? So do you want to do the intro of how we found each other?
Yeah, sure. So I don't remember who messaged whomst first, but I usually tell it as that we both decided we're strong, opinionated women who like to talk, pretty much. And my initial idea, I think, was to just have us talk about how we feel about various controversial topics. And I'm glad you steered us away from that, because I think that would have been harmful for our long-term career goals and potentially gotten us a lot of online hate. So basically, we wanted to have a chance where we could talk about interesting science and interesting topics, but even from a non-expert perspective. So we kind of shifted that from just we shifted from generally interesting topics to reading slightly difficult to understand because it's not in our field, brand new research, and talking to the authors so that we could figure out exactly what we're supposed to get out of the paper and get kind of the background on how they do the research. So would you say that's accurate? Close enough?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we're both trained researchers and science communicators. And one of the misconceptions is that if you're a scientist, you can read all science. That's misconception number one. We are learning every single week that that is not true. The misconception, the second one, is really that I think a lot of scientists have this kind of feeling that if the media wants to know what we're doing, they should read our papers. And that goes back to the first point of I'm really good at reading microbiology papers because I'm coming up on like 9 years of doing that, including undergrad where I worked in a lab. Now, last week when we talked about proteins, which were in bacteria, both of us had no idea what was going on. When I was editing that video, it was amazing. I was like, nope, not that. This is wrong.
Saying wrong things.
So we started this because we wanted to highlight that disconnect. We want to kind of push scientists to actually reach out to the media and try to explain their stuff. I think sometimes it gets picked up and mishandled by the media, and even probably for good intent. And then, to have a little bit of compassion for the general person who probably really wants to know what's going on in the world. A lot of people really want to understand the science, and it's up to us as scientists to make it accessible.
Yeah, and I should add that we're not like trying to hate on science writers or say that like the media does it all wrong. Like both of us write public facing science content, so we know that it's really challenging. But I think it's more the point is to show everyone that even scientists who are trained at research, trained to read papers quickly and thoroughly at the same time, even we really, really struggle with stuff. So it's been so interesting to learn about these different topics. Biostats with Rebecca was a whole new world. And she taught me so many things about antibiotics.
I want to like sing right now.
Hold it in.
No, I agree. And the other thing that I think a lot of the general public doesn't know is that you can totally email or reach out to scientists. I think a great way to do that is online. You can go and tweet at them if they're small enough. But usually if you have a question about their science, find that first author in the paper and send them an email, because that is the person who's going to be really excited to get back to you. And they're going to be able to explain stuff. And you can, hopefully they'll be nice. I think in general they are, especially if you say like, I don't know this stuff. I really like your topic. Could you explain it to me? If any scientist ever gives you trouble for this, please direct them to me, because as a strong opinionated woman, as Jenny says, woohoo, I will have opinions for them.
And you can also ask them for a PDF of the paper. If you don't have access to the full text versions, you can email them and say like, from your abstract that I could get access to, I have these questions, but I would love to read your full paper. So if you could send it to me, then I'll probably have more questions. And then you can build kind of a relationship with that scientist. And a lot of times, well, I guess it really depends on the field, but sometimes the first author of the paper will be a student. They'll be a trainee, either a postdoc maybe, or a grad student of some sort. So they're people who are still really excited and want to talk to brand new people. So
Definitely.
maybe we'll take that out because I'm calling faculty unwilling to talk to the public. This is the secret content.
Secret. So we got two awesome questions. One, well, we'll start with Cersei's because I think it relates to this, and then we'll jump to the next part. So Cersei says, how are you trying to escape the echo chamber of like-minded scientists to non-scientists? Yeah, so I think the first we're not really getting outside of our echo chamber, to be honest. Right now, we would love with help doing that. Right now, we're kind of just getting out of our silos. So microbiologists and paleoclimatologists don't hang out and talk science.
Nope.
Yeah, which is a bummer because I think your stuff is super cool, and oftentimes like non-experts have the best questions.
Yeah, they have hard questions too. Make you really think about the research you're doing. And I love your tiny plant roots. Every time you post a picture of, I know that's like not really the point, is like the tiny seedlings are just the vessel for everything else. But I love those tiny things. I'm like, yeah, grow some bacteria. I like really want to root for them.
Aha, pun. Okay, yeah. So if anyone has ideas of how to get this out to a more general audience, I think that'd be great. That's part of why we start at this lower level and why we've been doing some like clickbaity stuff of antibiotic resistance, even though that's really important, and biohacking. The cool thing is that like last week, Ollie is not a biohacker, but he does know protein engineering. And so we were able to ask him as an expert what he thinks about things like biohacking. So I think that's really what we're trying to do. But again, if anyone has any advice about how to reach a bigger audience, if anyone wants to help share our page, again, if you are watching it not live, if you're watching it now, please go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. That will help us spread. And more than anything, if you like it, if you're entertained, like post something on your Facebook, post something on your Instagram. Like, man, people post pictures of their toast, including me. I have done the toast picture. So if you can do a toast picture, you can do one story that is talking about how important science communication is.
I thought you were saying toes at first. Like people put up pictures of their toes.
That as well.
People also do that, right? Exactly.
Useless things on the internet. My recent post had like 500 black boxes.
But it also means so much to me, and I think probably to you too, when people either that we know or that we don't know say like, I like what you're doing, please keep doing it, or like this is something that I wish you could do better or differently, and that's so helpful to hear. So if there's something that you think we could be doing differently, please tell us, because we're really excited about making this a better way to talk about science.
Yeah, and I think that that's true. Cersei says, we're scientists. We should know coders to change the algorithm of social media platforms. I agree. So, but that goes back to Rebecca's question, which was how we got into science communication, why we do it, what's the point?
Also a big question. I don't exactly remember how I started, but I think both of us are ComSciCon alumni, AE. We both have been to ComSciCon events, and it's a special conference where they train you to be a science communicator, and both have research skills and communication skills, which has been extremely helpful for me. And I think the most important thing that they teach you that you can sort of apply to everything in your life is that whatever you have to say is important, and your opinion and your, I guess not just opinion, but your expert analysis of stuff does matter, and it is important. And no matter what it is that you're an expert in, like if you're an expert in wood grains and like how different woods should be used for tree houses, like I want to hear about that. I'm really excited to hear about what people love and are really passionate about. And I think science communication is a cool way to get scientists to talk about those things that really matter to them.
I think more places are doing better with this. I think one of the best things to bring up is food science. I think finally people are looking at food as a science, like the taste being understood through science. And like you said, building tree houses. If you ask someone if they like science, they might say no. If you ask someone have you ever liked a tree house? They'll probably say, yeah, or no, because I fell out of one, and you still want to talk about that. I think too often science is separated from the world, whereas scientists in general see science everywhere, and being able to communicate that would be really important. That science is not a textbook. Science is just the ethos, just how you can see things differently. It's a pair of sunglasses that you put over your eyes, and suddenly things make a little more sense, or they're more predictable, or you can find answers where you otherwise couldn't.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, so they're talking about cross-disciplinary collaborations. I think Mark was the one who talked about maybe we could talk to people who already have a YouTube presence and get some other side communicators on here. I think that'd be awesome. Whether or not anyone would give us the time of day, I don't know. I think we're still pretty small. But if there's any people who have their own YouTube channel, or the 5 people watching, if you know anyone,
there are 10. There are 10 viewers here. Okay.
So if any of you know anyone who would want to talk to us, we would love that. I think what we're going to try to do is do 2 weeks in a row that are paper based. So we're going to talk about a topic. We're going to talk about the scientific paper that's related to that. And then maybe we'll do a week, like 2 science papers, and then a week of maybe potpourri of whatever we want to talk about. Not the smelly stuff. We'll talk about science communication or education, or maybe we'll talk about ethics or whatever else. So if there's a YouTuber that you want us to reach out to, we are persistent and we will try.
Hashtag collab.
Okay. So science is, oh yeah, Cersei says science is not a textbook. She wants that on a shirt. I agree. I have so many science shirts. This one is the science of food and drink, which is combining my 2 favorite things in the entire world: food and science.
Food and science. I was gonna say food and drink.
I love food. I love drink. I do science.
I have my astronaut shirt on, which goes to support the girls and women in astrophysics. I should look up what it actually supports, but it's the thing that Emily Calandrelli does, the space camp for girls type thing. So these are women astronauts, so we both are very on theme.
The only one I know is Sally Ride, which is sad.
Then we have Mae Jemison, who I believe was the first Black woman in space. Tereshkova was the first woman overall. She was Russian. And Ansari is Iranian, I think Iranian American, and she was on a private astronaut situation. We should probably cut this in case that's all wrong, but they're astronauts and they're
I'll fact check you. We're good.
They're ladies.
The ladies.
Ladies of space.
You know what we might do is we might have blooper reels. Okay. Inspector. So Cersei says Inspector Planet Tracy is a fantastic scientist and open to collaboration. They want to reach out to her. Plus, she was on the search for the next Mythbuster.
Oh yeah, she's cool. I've seen her.
Yeah, we would love to talk to any of these people. I fangirl so hard when we talk to anyone. Literally anyone. It's really weird. So what else?
Yeah, we should probably wrap up so you don't have to edit out just us hanging out and being bonus.
Yeah, being so awesome. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
What other questions should we? Oh, Tamara Roberts.
Yep, Robertson. Any other questions? Well, what do you want to do with the rest of your life?
Crickets. I would like to do full-time science plus communication. And I think currently my ideal job title would be something like digital content producer, where I get to do a mix of writing and scripting for videos and working with a big team of people to make awesome science content. What do you want to do with your life?
I kind of like the idea of getting into a job that's on the business side of science. I think it would be cool to work for a company working between their scientists and their business and marketing groups, and
that's cool.
Trying to yeah, trying to make whatever their science is more acceptable. So running science communication programs, a lot of different chemical companies now really want to have an outreach component, really want to put on these things so that the community feels connected to them, and they want to educate their own scientists to be able to represent the community. And so I've been trained in helping other people do science communication and leading exploration-based activities. So I really enjoy that part. I think it could be cool to, I love talking to kids. I'm so excited. The reason we're doing this whole thing early today is that I get to go practice my terrible Spanish through volunteering. And
that's the only way to get better.
Yeah, but they're like children, so all I can say is like, ¿Quieres jugar?
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do voluntary childcare over at the Rape Crisis Center while the moms are having conversations. So it sounds like really good of me, but really what that is that I spend 2.5 hours playing Candyland, and it's amazing. So I love kids. It's so fun. I love kids, but talking to adults is actually my favorite because they're so much more difficult. Kids are like sponges. You throw 10 facts at them and they'll remember 4. You tell an adult one thing and they are going to give you 5 reasons why you're wrong. And the best thing you can have out of an interaction with an adult is for them to leave questioning. If they walk away from you and they look up something that you have given them a resource to, you have absolutely won them over in terms of science communication. So I like that sort of spin. Trying to think anything else. Yeah, but we'll do the plug one last time. Like, subscribe, share, send us kisses, not real kisses. Please don't send, well, Hershey's kisses would be fine.
Yeah, we both like chocolate a lot. We don't like internet harassment.
Put that on our bylines. Yeah.
Okay, wait, I'll say it again. Like and subscribe.
I'm going to keep that exactly how it is. Pauses and everything. Yeah. So if you have any further questions, feel free to send us messages. Let us know if you or anyone else has a paper that you've been on. So that could be anytime in the last like 5-ish years is preferred. 10 years is okay. We'll spin it around something that is important today in the news media, and we'll have you come on. You can be the 18th author. That's fine. We just want to talk to you about that kind of science, and it's not going to be related to what we do. And so the questions will be really basic. Let us know if you have that. Again, you can find me at Susanna, Susanna, the letter L, Harris, Harris, on both Twitter and Instagram. And from there, you can navigate over to see my other projects on PH depression, as well as where Gabi and I both met, which is the SciCommunity. Please follow them if you're not.
And you can find me as at G Serrato Marks. I'm not even going to spell it out, but you'll find the links down below on both Instagram and Twitter. And follow the SciCommunity, support what they're doing. It's a really cool crew, and they're doing a Kickstarter. They're doing a fundraising campaign right now for pins. So if you're interested in pins, you should go check that out in their on their website.
Sean's here. I think he was the one earlier that was like, I might take my lunch at a weird time. Thank you to everyone who showed up. We know this is a strange time.
Thank you.
Moving it around, but it's cool to get.
This is for Europe. That's who it's for, because they're not asleep yet.
Yeah.
Ollie should be here because he's not asleep yet.
I know. He might be asleep though. I don't know. He said he stayed.
Yeah, that's true. I support sleep.
So if y'all have any last minute questions, feel free to shoot them over. We will answer them as we can. Any other topics that you want to talk about? If you're jazzed about chocolate and you want us to talk about the science of chocolate, we'll find somebody to talk about science of chocolate, and we will stuff our faces the whole time.
Yeah, tell us your topics and we will discuss.
Yeah, that's what you can put in the comments later. All right. Oh, Thursday's on lunch as well. I love all you guys. Y'all are amazing. Okay, so
look at my plant before we end.
It's so pretty.
This is my ZZ plant. What kind of things do you think the roots have?
Well, the bacteria that predominate on roots in general occur in four major clades, which are proteobacteria, firmicutes, actinobacteria, and Bacteroidetes.
Bacteroidetes? I hope that's what I have.
I'm sure that you do. I'm sure that you do. They are highly found in soil and roots. So PFAB. Okay.
Okay, I think we should end.
Yeah, we should. We could. Wow. Jenny says we could take crows to the next level and talk ducks. Jenny is obsessed with ducks. Jenny, I did not appreciate your comment about duck penises last time. This will for sure be cut out, but oh my gosh, I can't unknow that fact.
Hard no.
Hard no. Ooh, science and music. Okay. All y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We need to have an outro at some point, but I'll just say our names again. So thank you for coming on. I'm Susanna L. Harris. Thanks for showing up at the SciCommunity and checking out our Nexus YouTube channel.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Stop broadcast.